Oh man. Oh man. Well, welcome to the Detroit Lions News podcast. I'm your host Joe Chap, along with my guest on the program. He was on here for the game preview. He's back for the game post game podcast.
Back in black, baby.
He said he would be back. I got my Hutch jersey right there. I can put it on.
There you
Right
go.
But
Do it. Come on.
oh man, I gotta tell you, man, this was one of the most emotional games in terms of the way it was going in the first half. I feel like everyone that was watching it were like, what the hell is happening with the offense? And I thought for a minute, I was like, they're going to lose this game. Like, I literally thought that. But, Jahmyr Gibbs showed out. The defense showed out. We talked about it on the podcast before, in the game preview. We said getting back Alex Anzalone would be one of the biggest things for this team. Not just in his, the way that he plays, not just in the way that he tackles, but in the leadership. That was what we were talking about. Me and you were talking about the leadership of Alex Anzalone. And man, it was just first of all, this was a game I thought the Lions needed. I thought the Lions needed this game because if they went into the playoffs and they had to go through 3 games instead of 2 games, I thought that would be one of the biggest things that would really cripple them, because this team is broken right now. They're broken because they have a lot of injuries. So if you allow them, give them a few flowers, give Terrion Arnold a week, give Alex Anzalone another week, give Dave Montgomery another week, and you're gonna get them back. And then who knows? Maybe Derek Barnes is able to come, maybe Carlton Davis. You never know who can come. But you have 2 games and you're in the Super Bowl. That's what it comes down to. And I thought, me and you were talking before the podcast about, was this the most emotional game in your opinion? And for me, it was the most emotional because you're 2 games away from a Super Bowl right now. You're 2 games away from, potentially going to the Super Bowl for the first time in franchise history. This is the first time you swept the division ever. Mm-hmm. You swept the division. Unbelievable.
A lot of firsts in this game.
It was, first of all, just give the kudos to the defense, number one. That was the defense played out of their mind, man. And give, a lot of people, they talk about Aaron Glenn. They talk about all these guys. Aaron Glenn, man, I don't care what I don't care what anybody says going forward. I really don't care. Like, if you talk about Aaron Glenn, man, he has been one of the better coordinators we've ever had, man. I mean, look what he's doing with this defense. That is like literally patchworked. This is unbelievable what he's been able to do. And tonight's victory, I mean, you said you called it in your podcast, and I believe you 100% because of what you did on the podcast before the season. We'll talk about that later. But you said Justin Jefferson wouldn't get in the end zone. Now, I thought Jordan Addison would get yards. Guess how many he got today?
40, 50 yards? I don't know.
0.
Oh, wow.
0.
Wow.
0.
Wow.
So when you talk about this defense and you talk about what they did, I mean, they were force feeding to Hockenson because I felt like they were trying to get him to get revenge on Kirby Joseph and the Detroit Lions or whatever. But the reality of the situation is Justin Jefferson got held under 70, which I didn't think was going to happen at all. I didn't think that was going to happen.
And no touchdowns.
Jordan Addison had 0 yards.
Wow, that's insane. And all I heard all week was Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson are going to tear up the secondary and all this stuff. And man, the secondary has balled out.
It was
Shout out to Brad Holmes, man. The guy just keeps making moves that just make this team better. He got Meek Robinson for $9 million, shut down Justin Jefferson most of the game, made some great tackles.
Man,
you got Terrion Arnold, who played well until he got hurt. Future CB1. I don't care what anybody says. I don't think we're bringing back Carlton. I think CB1 is going to be Terrion, and CB2 is going to be Meek Robinson going forward. And then Zadarius Smith, the guy balls out, gets a huge sack, was pressuring Darnold all game. Get him in the offseason for literally nothing. They paid most of his salary from Cleveland. And then on top of that, you get Muhammad, a guy who nobody knew the hell he was, gets a sack in the game. Like, this had Brad Holmes written all over it, man. Like, Brad Holmes just take a bow, man. Take a freaking bow. This dude just keeps on hitting home runs, man. And
Yeah,
Gibby.
it was
drafted
incredible.
Gibby too. Everybody shit on that
incredible.
pick.
We got some comments. We'll get to these comments right now, but just to get into it.
Yeah.
But I we'll get into it in a minute. But I just thought this game was huge because me and my cousin, we were talking after the game. That's why I was a little bit late doing the podcast. But anyways, we were talking about how big this is for not just the team but the city, because you're gonna get 2 games at home. Teams got to come through Detroit, and the one thing you got to think about, like, we have never had this happen before. Like, the Detroit Lions have never had home field advantage, number 1 seed before. So this is unique circumstances, and Dan Campbell did it.
Dan and Brad did it. Both of them did it. You can't have one without the other.
No, Dan and Brad both did it. They did a damn good job at, building this team, putting them in the spot where they belong. But these players, man, they bought into these guys, and I was just very happy about that. So, yeah.
You can't ask for a better tandem than Brad and Dan. Like, I was talking on my podcast about this. Continuity is a big thing in the NFL. And the teams that are good consistently have strong management and they have strong coaches. And Detroit has that with Brad and Dan. That's why this team's not going to go anywhere. This team is here to stay. They're young. They got good pieces. They've locked up their good pieces. Brad's going to keep drafting well. Dan's going to keep building these players up and keep coaching them up and getting them.
Yep.
Like, this tandem's not going anywhere. This is not a one-hit wonder. This is I'm going to say this, and I mean it when I say it. This could be the beginning of a dynasty. If the Lions get this Super Bowl win, this could be the beginning of something special, because all the players they have are all in their prime, and they have a lot of young players that we haven't seen a lot of that are going to only get better. And this could be the beginning of a dynasty.
You have a lot of cap space.
Yeah.
And you sign these guys like Jared Goff, Amon St. Brown before some of these bigger deals came about. This is special stuff, and it's a credit to Brad Holmes, it's a credit to Dan Campbell. But man, I'll tell you what, dude, I'm surprised that they're the number 1 seed, to be honest, because when you looked at it, like, was I surprised? No. Was I surprised that the defense is the one that showed up?
I was surprised it wasn't even close. Let's talk about that. Like, this game was talked about like maybe a couple of points. I think the spread was like 3 points. Like, they won like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. And it was just under. So no, yeah, it was just under 31-9. So it didn't even get to 40. So I mean, look, I don't think anybody envisioned the Detroit Lions come in here and just shutting the Vikings down. I don't think, when me and you were talking about this game on Thursday, we were talking about like, oh, this is going to be a tough game, back and forth, you know what I'm saying? And I had some Vikings fans that I was talking to, and they were like, man, this is going to be a tough game. It's going to be back and forth. And we're all, I'm saying the same thing. Like, it's going to be tight, tight game, whatever, going through the rest of the quarter game. But man, it was just
utter domination.
The whole Jordan Addison under 20 yards is unbelievable. Like, he had 0 yards. I had him in a parlay. He didn't get nothing. If I'd have took Jahmyr Gibbs for 175, like I planned on, but I got closer. So it's just amazing.
Let's talk about Gibby, man, because this guy, I mean, I understand Saquon and Derrick Henry get a lot of love, and they should. Mm-hmm. They're really good running backs. But this guy, at some point, is going to outseed both of them. Like, this guy has superstar written all over him, and you saw in this game why. The guy can run inside. He can run outside. You can put him out in the wide receiver, and he can run a receiving route. Like this, he can pick up blocks. This guy is a complete running back. Like, complete. Like, he has no weakness in his game, and he's only going to get better. He really is. I mean, the guy is, how old is he? He's like, 22, 23 years old?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, this guy is special, man. And the thing about it is that you look at his numbers, Joe. He did almost all those numbers in the season halfway, like splitting time with David Montgomery. That's impressive. Like that is something special. Oh yeah, that's idiots. Yeah, I saw that. Dumbasses.
No,
it's tomorrow.
what Jahmyr Gibbs did today was truly special. I believe that this was one of the most dominating games that he's ever had. I didn't think that, coming in this game, I didn't really think that he was gonna dominate like he was. But like, I'll show you this right here. So we got, we'll put it on the full screen. Let's do it in the full screen. Well, we'll take up the thing right now. Oh shoot, weird.
I will say this while you're getting this figured. I said on my podcast that Gibby was going to be a problem for the Vikings because he's been a problem for the Vikings. Like, if Jefferson's a problem for us, Gibby's a problem for the Vikings. They have nobody that can match up with Gibby one-on-one in space.
It's just like I said on the podcast today, the game preview podcast.
Look at those numbers.
So wow. He has Gibbs against Minnesota. This was before today. He had 3 games, 43 carries, 226 yards. That was 75.3 yards per game and 5 touchdowns. You can add on 4 more touchdowns for this guy tonight. Wow. But yeah, let's look at this. Like, this is incredible, man. You look at Jared Goff, he was 27 for 33, which, I thought you had a worse game, but he was all right. But Jahmyr Gibbs, 23 for 139, 6 yards average, 3 touchdowns along of 47. He also had 31 yards receiving and on 5 catches. Just insane. Also give Craig Reynolds some love because
Craig Reynolds ran hard too. Yeah, for sure.
4.9 per carry.
Gibby.
4.9 per carry is awesome. Let's look at the defense, man. Look at Alex Anzalone, 7.
Mm-hmm.
Kirby Joseph had 8 tackles. Alex Anzalone had a quarterback hit. Zadarius Smith came out to play. Zadarius Smith had 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, and 3 solo tackles. Well, 2 quarterback hits.
I like to see how many pressures he had in the game because he was all over.
I'm sorry. Jordan Addison got 1 reception for 0 yards. So I was wrong there. But
Hawkins only had 9 yards.
It was
wow. Damn.
He had 9 yards on 8 targets. So classic.
Laporta did well too for us. Laporta had 63. Man, Laporta's been balling out, bro. If there's one guy that I think is really gonna make this offense even better than it already is Laporta. Healthy Laporta is a nightmare for defenses.
No, when we were talking about Laporta like early in the season, I think it was like me and Darcy and everybody, and I think I was on his podcast, to be honest, and I said, he just needs time to get back and get healthy. You know what I'm saying? And boy, oh boy, has he gotten healthy. It's been amazing to see that happening. But man, just unbelievable.
What a game! Like, Laporta knows that the other guy we traded for Laporta. We traded Hockenson for Laporta, and Laporta just shows why we did it, because he can catch the ball like Hockenson can, but also too he can block. He made that huge block on Gibby's touchdown. That's one thing. That's one thing that Hockenson couldn't do is block, and that's why he's not with Detroit. Because when you play for Ben Johnson, you have to be able to block for him. And if you can't block, you're just one dimensional. That's not going to work.
Yeah, Hockenson. He's all right. He's
a receiving tight end, but he's one dimensional. He's not a blocker.
I wanted to go to something. I'm gonna pull it up here. God, where is it? But anyways, go on. This is no.
I'm just saying, like, this offense has got so many layers to it. I mean, the line did not play the best game in the world. There was a lot of whiffs, a lot of missed assignments that I saw. Blocks. Penei had some bad blocks. Skipper had a bad block. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the best game from the line. Need to see better from that. Gibby was a sensational. Goff, I mean, you look at Goff's picks. I mean, one was off on a screenplay. He's got to throw that higher because Craig had all the room in the world if he had caught that. And then the pick on J-Mo, that was just miscommunication. I don't know what J-Mo was doing on that. So I don't blame Goff as much on those picks. I mean, those are just mistakes. He can't make those mistakes. And then Amara was Amara. You know, J-Mo made plays when he needed to make plays. Laporta was good. I mean, this offense is just unstoppable. I don't see a better offense than what we have.
Yeah, I'll put this up on the screen because I thought this was amazing. So Jahmyr Gibbs is the first second running back in franchise history to record 4 touchdowns in a single game, joining Barry Sanders, who did it on November 24th, 1991.
Wow.
Now, there is a lot of old heads in the comments, I believe. They could tell me what 1991 and November 24th was all about.
Wayne Fonz, man, when they played the Cowboys. I think that's that was the NFC Championship the last time they won.
So this is also another one. This is great right here. The Lions have scored 564 points.
Wow.
That is the fourth most in NFL season history. So there's more history for you right there. Like
here's another one. Gibby broke Barry Sanders' record of most touchdowns in a season. Shattered it, actually. I think he came in 2 touchdowns shy of breaking it. And he had 2 more on top of that.
I got it. This is unbelievable, man. This is just, I don't know what your thoughts are about the way this game. We obviously thought about it, but man, I can't even understand.
Honestly, like early in the game, I think that the offense really just took a dump. They just did not play well, and the second half they really woke up. Ben Johnson made some adjustments to Brian Flores' blitzes. B-Flow was getting the best of Ben Johnson in the first half. I don't like those swing plays. I don't like those side throws. I've never been a fan of that. You need to attack a team downfield, not to the side. I think Ben Johnson stopped doing that crap in the second half. You know, and then the defense kept us in the game, man. I mean, you look at the red zone defense. Look at third down defense. Minnesota was 3 of 12 on third down. I think they were 0 of 2 on fourth down. 2 goal line stands. You can't ask for a better stepping up with the defense, man.
Yeah, let's look at these team stats because I was first of all, I was mortified that we were, the red zone stops were just phenomenal. But if you look at it like this, so I'll put it up here like this, but let me put up the full screen. But juice again. Detroit had look at their third down percentage. They were 3 for 13. Detroit was 5 for 12. Those 2 that they got better were, what I'm saying.
There's a difference right there.
They were 0 for 3 on fourth down. Detroit was 2 for 4. Detroit had 66 total plays to their 62. But I mean, God, you can take this way a bunch of different ways. But look at the red zone: 0 for 4, 3 for 3. We talked about it. After the Buccaneers game, right? And we talked about it after the Bills game, where they didn't convert their opportunities, they didn't do what they were supposed to do, and they lost, right? This is another example. I mean, they had 2 turnovers. They were -2 in the turnover differential, and they still won the game. And where did it come down to? Red zone defense. And Detroit's red zone defense really showed out.
And if you'd have told me before this game started that the Vikings were not going to score a touchdown with all the guys they have, I would have been like, you're crazy.
No, I would.
That's insane. Insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't say any more about this defense, man. I will say this about Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn deserves to be a head coach. He has shown everything that a GM wants in a head coach: leadership, the belief in working with what you have, and the ability to motivate his players and get them ready to be starters. I don't know what else you need from a head coach to show that. And on top of that, he's the most likable guy in the NFL, according to that NFL poll that came out earlier in the season.
Yep.
Yes. So he deserves to be a head coach, more so than Ben Johnson. I was telling my friend this. I think Ben Johnson is a good position coach. I think he's a hell of an OC.
Coordinator.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can motivate a team and show the leadership like AG has showed. AG was meant to be a head coach, and AG deserves to be a head coach, and he will be a head coach.
I've said this for like the last couple years, and I've remained steadfast on it. And anybody who's listened to this podcast before will tell you that this has been the case. But for God, I've been doing this podcast 2 years. So for 2 years, I've been telling people, look, I think Aaron Glenn's legit. I think he's the truth, man. Like I can't say enough good words about Aaron Glenn. I really can't. I really can't. I mean, it's not about. Sometimes you look at it and you're trying to see. Like, I think a lot of people, they look at the schematics and they go, okay, well, where does your defense rank and da 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 da.
Right.
Just look at the players that he has to work with compared to Ben Johnson. It's not even close to fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even close to fair. And you think about, like, okay, Ben Johnson has Jahmyr Gibbs, Frank Ragnow, Decker, Sewell. He has Eitler now, Laporta, Jared Goff, St. Brown, JMO, Brock Wright. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has a lot of good players. Who does Aaron Glenn have right now that you think you can single-handedly say he is the best player in the defense and he might be one of the better players in the league? You can't say that. Hutch isn't here. You can't say it because Derek Barnes isn't here. Jack Campbell is certainly making his. I mean, Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, I think, are the only two that you could pretty much say. But look what he's had to work with.
And I'll piggyback on what you said, because look at it from the game standpoint. When TA went out, does every Lion fan think like, oh my God, Justin Jefferson's going to go off? Now that TA is out of the game, it's going to be barbecue chicken with Justin Jefferson. And he didn't really do anything. And AG kept bringing the heat. He kept playing Edison, man and bringing the heat.
Edison didn't do anything either. Like I think a lot of people get lost in the sauce. Like, they look at the flash of the Ben Johnson offense and everything. But I got to tell you, man, if Aaron Glenn, he's going to be a head coach, and he's probably going to be the Saints head coach.
Yep.
And they're getting a damn good coach, man. Mm-hmm. They're going to get a damn good coach, but we got a Super Bowl to win, so let's do it.
Yeah, let's send him away on a Super Bowl victory for sure.
But I did talk to someone who worked in the NFL for a long time, and the one thing he told me that I wanted to relay to people, he thinks, and he's talked to a couple people that are really successful NFL people, he thinks that the Lions have 4 head coaches, and he thinks that on this staff, 4 head coaches, and he thinks that Dan Campbell is going to have a Bill Parcells-like tree. And I said, are you serious? He goes, absolutely. And this is a guy, he's not a Lions fan. Actually, I'll tell you this right now. He worked for the Packers for several years, 15 years. So he worked for the Packers under, the Favre years, the Rodgers years, and then he retired in like 2018 or something like that. But he worked for a long time. But he said Dan Campbell was going to have his Bill Parcells tree, his Sean Payton tree. Like, his tree is going to be leaders of men. It's not going to be like this schematic, like Sean McVay's, Kevin O'Connell's, Kyle Shanahan's. It's going to be, these coaches are actually going to be legit because they can lead the charge. You know what I'm saying?
Not only that, but Dan prepares his guys to be coaches. Like they talked about in the middle of the season or into the season, how AG and Shep and Montgomery have all been involved with Ben Johnson and AG in their meetings, and I would imagine behind the scenes there's been some tutelage.
Yeah, exactly. You remember this time?
Oh yeah, I remember that. And you know what's funny is that just shows, just in a nutshell, that shows that the average fan knows nothing about football. Nothing. Those guys who draft, they know what they're doing. And I'm telling you, I was a big fan of Gibby getting drafted. I watched SEC football a lot. Gibby, I knew he was going to be a stud. And I even went on record and said Gibby was going to be drafted by the Lions. Everybody's like, oh, no, they're going to go Bijan if anything, or Jalen Carter. I was like, well, if they don't go Bijan, they're going to pass on Carter, and they're going to go get Gibby. And sure enough, when Gibby got drafted, I'm like, there you go. And now you're going to see why, and you see why. He is a special running back, and he's only going to get better.
Yeah, I put this up here because the entire Vikings locker room, it cleared out by the time Corey Woods arrived, except for one player, Justin Jefferson. He stood alone, answered every question, thoughtfully and in depth. And I give Justin Jefferson a ton of respect because I think he is one of the best wide receivers in the league. I think he's one of the best wide receivers that
he's cocky. He's cocky, but
I don't know.
That's a humbling comment.
I don't think I don't think he's cocky at all. I don't think he's cocky at all.
Did you watch his interview before the game?
You got to have confidence. That's how it goes. You got to have confidence. You could look.
He's a showboater, man.
Look at our guy, St. Brown. He's the same way.
Yeah, but St. Brown goes about his business more than Justin Jefferson. I've seen Justin Jefferson
goes about his business.
Act a diva.
Justin Jefferson goes about.
Yeah,
He's not a guy who's like he could have been bitching and moaning on the sidelines like any wide receiver would do. He's like.
But he just sat there. He really didn't even try to motivate his team either. So it's kind of like he was just sulking like the whole time.
What is he going to do? What is he going to do?
Talk to his line. Get him going. Goff was doing that through the pick.
That's Goff. Everybody. No, stop. That's Goff. That's not Jefferson. Yeah. Come on, give Jefferson his kudos. The guy's one of the best wide receivers.
No, I mean he is. I have no doubt about his talent. I think sometimes he's got some antics, but it's not as bad as some of his receivers.
I don't think he's got antics at all. I think he's just a great wide receiver and he's confident. That's all it is. And if you're expecting a wide receiver to have, to motivate the team, well, that's Sam Darnold's job, to be honest. So
that's true.
There you go.
Let's talk about Sam Darnold, man. Like I was texting my boys in the chat and I was like, Sam Darnold went from MVP chatter to the guy who works at Enterprise. Like he just looks
he's still gonna get paid.
Oh yeah, but he's mid. He's not that good. I mean, when you put a lot of pressure on him and you take away his weapons, he's not really a guy that puts fear in you. And he wasn't a guy that I feared in the first place. Like I kept telling Viking fans all week that this guy is not that good. Like y'all on a pedestal, like he's one of the best.
I'll give it to you like this. Aaron Glenn must be following the podcast because when I mentioned this stat, do you know how many times the Lions blitzed today? I don't think it was very much at all in terms of how they usually. They
got a lot of pressure with their four. I was very.
But they got pressure with all the front four, and that's the mark on Sam Darnold. If you just sit back and let him, search the field and beat bracket coverage, you're going to be fine.
And well, I think the key to the success of taking out Sam Darnold was taking away Hockenson. Like you take away a safety blanket, that's going to make it harder on him because TA and Meek were doing a really good job on Justin Jefferson and Addison, and so. Naylor got like 60 something yards or whatever, and one of us off a big catch. But Hockenson was the one that we talked about in our podcast. You have to stop this guy.
Just call him Hockenson. Just call him Hockenson. We gotta do no pet names. We just gotta do the deal. Like Hockenson, I tell you what, Hockenson, I expected more from him to be honest, but. Yeah, they threw it to him 9 times.
He had brick for hands, because every time the Lions hit him, he dropped it.
Well, look at the guy who was covering him a lot. AA, man, and AA had a hell of a game, and I was so man.
Branch too. Branch had some good hits on him. Iffy had some good hits. Yeah. Defense just played lights out, man. Like you can't say enough about the defense. Like you could not ask for a better defensive game all the way through than the last game of the season when it mattered the most for everything on the table.
This goes with your point, Mr. Nate the Great. Sam Darnold, week 18 against the Lions, 43.9 completion percentage, worst for him for the season. 41 pass attempts, that's the second most. 166, that's his worst passing yards. Passing yards per attempt, that's the worst at 4.0. 0 passing touchdowns, only third time this season. 55.5 passer rating, third worst. His 17.1 QB.
He looked worse. Joe, he looked really bad. Like I'm talking not even like bad. He looked horrible. Like the guy looked like, I was joking around when I said this before the game started. I said he looks like he's got scared eyes. Because his eyes were so wide, but when you saw his eyes, they looked like he was fear. And I think that it got to him during the game because once Darius got that sack, he just looked rattled the rest of the game. It's like he wasn't able to step in the pocket. He wasn't able to set his feet. Like he had happy feet all game. That's why he overthrew passes. Like AG just rattled the dude's cage bad.
You know when I think he was the most rattled? When they got the first false start. I looked into his eyes and I seen a guy who seen ghost. I'm serious. Like you rarely ever see a guy who like if you played football, you know that when you see a guy and he has this fear in his eyes, he's done. Like he is done. And
That's what I'm saying. Like even before the game started, he looked like he had fear in his eyes. Like with the crowd, everything was around him. Like the game seemed bigger than he was ready for.
This is what this fan base does, though, man. This is what they do. Like this is not a fun place to play. Like this is not. I mean, let's go down the line of quarterbacks that can come into Detroit and win. Okay, Baker Mayfield can come in here and win. He has done it this year, but the Lions' offense didn't come up to play. But let's look at the players in the quarterbacks in the playoffs. You got Jalen Hurts. Can he do it? I don't know. Not. Is he healthy? That's my main question.
He's practicing, so he should be good.
So you go to the third. Can Matt Stafford come in here and win?
Of course, he's played there before.
Right, Baker Mayfield.
I do not want to see Matt Stafford in Detroit. I think we should go on the record to say that. But thank you for bringing that bad nightmare.
No, I think the Vikings are going to dispatch the Rams.
I don't know. We'll see.
I think Sam Darnold comes back to play and they win against the Rams. It's my opinion.
We play the lowest seed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I thought.
So out of the lowest seeds, 5, 6, and 7, who would you want to play? The Packers, Vikings, or Redskins? I mean Commanders. Whoops.
Honestly, I'd rather play the Commanders with a rookie quarterback, but
yeah.
I don't want to play the Vikings again. That's a hard time to beat four times in a row, even though Dan did say we'll see you in 2 weeks, which I hope he didn't put that into existence.
Probably did.
Honestly, I don't see the Whackers getting past the Eagles.
I think the Packers. I think the Packers are done. They're literally done.
Yeah, they lost Christian Watson today. Jordan Love's banged up. They're going against a very rested Eagles team. You mentioned Jalen Hurts. Saquon Barkley is going to be mad as hell because he didn't get to break the record. Might go for 200 yards in that game. Now,
the thing that will really push that game over the top is Jalen Hurts healthy? That's what it would come down to. But
yeah, I think he'll be all right. But I don't know, man. Either way, we're going to see a team that I don't want to see, so it doesn't matter. Welcome to the playoffs.
It's a playoffs. So let's get to the comments. We got some comments. Ryan says, so sick of the Vikings fans crying foul and only happened because of the refs. Yeah, they're idiots. The Vikings, it's just like the Packers.
No, there was one play that intentional grounding. That was a fair call. That should have been intentional grounding.
No, it wasn't.
In the end zone.
No, it wasn't.
The end zone?
Jahmyr
I know. I
said
it. No, they said Brock Wright. They said it was thrown to Brock Wright.
They both
Brock
were
Wright
there.
Was nowhere.
They both were there. So
they said Brock Wright wasn't in the area. That was the original why. They said he was in the area. Okay.
They messed it up. Jahmyr Gibbs should have been the guy that was in the area because he was in the area.
Yeah. Can we talk about Ben's play calling? Because I'm really frustrated with Ben's play calling, and I think if we it's going to cost us in the Super Bowl or cost us in the playoffs if he keeps calling these bad calls.
But we can talk about it because I feel the same way. Like okay. I mean, if you go back to the Packer game, where he had that delay on 4th down, like what the hell is that? The pass tonight on 3rd down and inches, 4th down and inches. Dumb.
Yeah, you got to take a run for that.
I feel like he outsmarts himself a lot, and yes, I feel like if he does get a job, if he's not in the right situation, it'll blow up in his face.
Did you hear what Florio said tonight? I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
What Florio said today?
So Florio said that there's a possibility that Ben will stay with Detroit because the fact is that he's looking for the right situation. Which you kind of know Ben Johnson wants to do that. He wants total control over the
Right.
roster, which means you're going to kind of outseed whoever their GM is.
Yep.
And a lot of teams aren't going to let that happen, especially if they have a pretty good GM
or a rookie coach.
Exactly. So I think Ben Johnson's going to stay where he's at. AG's gone. AG is gone by the end of the year. It's already a done deal. Saints are going to take him, and
I think it's a done deal. He's the Saints coach. I can't even.
And it's well deserved. He's going to go home and coach his team. Yeah.
Well, I look at it like this. He knows the organization, number one. Mm-hmm. Mickey Loomis is still going to be the general manager, and he knows Mickey Loomis, so that's right there.
He knows the Bensons.
He knows the Bensons. He knows the defenders that are there. He'll be fine.
He's taking Teddy Bridgewater.
I personally think. No, I don't think he's gonna take Teddy's got a low shelf life, to be honest. I don't think he.
But that's all right. He takes a coach. He takes a quarterback he trusts and wins some games with him, and then if they keep Rattler or they draft somebody else, they can bring him. They can bring him along slowly. That would be a perfect bridge for AG is to take Teddy and just let him finish out his career with the Saints. Takes a quarterback he trusts because the Hooker is the future. Well, not the future, but Hooker is the backup for the Lions. Period. Teddy's a good story, but he deserves to start somewhere else or have a chance. And I think AG takes him with him.
I don't think Teddy wants to be a starter anymore, though. To be honest,
you don't think so?
No, I think he's. I think the only reason he signed on here was for two reasons. And I told my cousin this.
Quarterback coach.
He wanted to sign on with Detroit because he could be a coach / player because he's an emergency quarterback. Mm-hmm. And then the second part is he can win a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what he wants. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he wants to go to a team where he starts and they're rebuilding. I don't think Teddy wants that. I think Teddy's older too. I think he's older than Goff by a long
32.
shot. So
he's 32.
Yeah. So he's not gonna stay around. Matter of fact, he had that gruesome knee injury with Minnesota that one year. Remember that? Mm-hmm. So I don't assume. Paul says, "What's up, fellas? What's up, Paul?
How you doing, Paul? You enjoying it? Who's going to work tomorrow?
No one.
Exactly. No one. It's National Hangover Day.
Tom says Minnesota let that clock just run. That's gangster shit. That's true. That's a good point because they did the kneel down at the end of the game. Dwayne Keene.
They were done.
Dwayne Keene says, "Let's go, King of the North, division champion." Great stuff, but from Dwayne again. Dustin says, "Dog has never been walked." Interesting. Gibbs, Sonic, 4 touchdowns game. Well, yeah,
Dude, he was such a big factor today. Big factor.
Man, Gibbs has been just. Since Monty's been. Answer me this, okay? I just want to put this out here.
Sure.
Does it feel like Gibbs has gotten better without Monty? And I think that's a scary proposition because when Monty comes back, what happens? Because if this is the Gibbs,
they go back to the same. They go back to the same.
What I'm saying though is I see Gibbs doing things that he has never done before, and maybe it's because he learned because he had to take the reins or whatever. Mm-hmm. But if you have 2 running backs that are just eating up plays, like eating up teams, like what do you do as a defense? Like what do you do?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Like in this game, we really miss Monty. Like inside running, weakening that interior defense, we really miss Monty. That's not Gibbs' responsibility. Gibbs is to get in space and hit the burners and go. That's what he was brought in for this team, and to also use in receiving routes and all that to be mismatches. That's what Gibbs is all about. Monty is the bruiser. We need Monty back. Like Monty softens that interior so Gibbs can run through it. And no disrespect to Craig Reynolds, but he's not Monty. And so your answer to the question is when Monty comes back, they go back to where they were before. But I do think Gibbs gets a bigger role because Monty is still coming off that injury, and they're not gonna put him in harm's way. Like this team. I
really don't think you're understanding me though. Like I think that like the way that they were, I don't think that ever exists anymore.
You think so?
What I'm trying to say is Gibbs knows a lot more about the game than he's ever learned about the game before because he's took on the main role, right?
Gibbs is becoming a complete back. That's what you're trying to say. Yes, he has. He's a
So
3-down back because he can block too.
That's what I'm trying to say. So you add on Monty onto that, and basically you have a 2 running back tandem where you could throw either dog the bone, and they're gonna go get it. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and the thing with Gibbs too is that I think Gibbs. We were waiting for this to happen because early on in the season, you can agree with me. Monty was the featured back. Monty was the guy that they were going to most of the game, and Gibbs would kind of help spell and kind of make those explosive plays after Monty weakened the defense. Gibbs is now the number 1 running back. Period. He can do it all. He's a 3-down back. You can put him on blocking. You can put him on receiving. You can put him in first and second down. Now Monty's the backup now. Monty, and I think that's okay. I think Monty's okay with that. Because at some point, when you have a guy that's that talented in Gibbs, he knows that he's not going to be the number 1 back when you got somebody that good. It's just talent outweighs things, And Gibbs is a special back that has to have the ball in his hands. So yeah, it might not be the same, but I think that Monty's still going to be a big part of what we do.
Yeah, my thing was though is I wasn't just saying like I should have reiterated it better to be honest with you. So my point was like I just think that the way that they play, like I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs coming in here and learning the things that he learned is just amazing. But I want to play this for you because there's a lot of things that are happening in this here.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to watch the videos of the celebrations.
Oh, but there's music, so it fucking sucks.
Oh, good news on Terry Arnold. That's good.
What you got on Terry and Arnold?
About to read it. Probably Detroit put it out. Suffered a foot injury. It's unclear how serious it is, but there is some good news. Let's see what they say. Pat O'Connor had a calf injury.
All right.
Said he'll know more tomorrow about Terrian. It doesn't sound like he may have broken or fractured a bone. Ooh.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
It was actually negative. Okay, the extras are negative, but doesn't mean he's pretty tender. Campbell explained.
See, when I watched that, when I watched it, I'm reading it right now. He said, "We don't know." Arnold said, "We don't know right now. They just prayed up, trusting God. I'm be good." So okay, he's good.
I mean, the extras are negative, so that's a good sign.
Well, I'll give you an example of what I think that was. To be honest, I dealt with an injury like that, where someone hit your ankle, because what happened was I forget who hit his ankle, but someone hit his ankle, and they like they bent his ankle back. And I think it was like a hyperextension. That's what I think it was, and sometimes those could be worse than a break, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
you think he's going to be out for a good amount of time?
Well, I think this break is really good for him, because
absolutely
he's going to need a week at least. But sometimes when you get a hyperextension in terms of the ankle or whatever, like this happens with goalies a lot. I was a goalie, so I know. You get your foot stuck on the post and you get a hyperextension and it does hurt. It feels like something popped in your ankle, and you are tender for a couple of days. Maybe usually, I would say, with me it was like 7 to 8 days, and then I felt better afterwards, and I felt like I could go. I could go play hockey after that. For Arnold, it's probably going to be the same thing. I don't think it was as bad because it didn't get caught. That's the main thing. Did it get caught? Yeah. But that's what it is. So
let me ask you a question real quick. I don't know if you know the situation with this, but can we still bring back Rakestraw, or is he done for the season?
Yeah, I think they opened up his IR window, I thought.
Okay, we really need him back.
Yeah. So that would be good. That would be good to get, but
yeah, definitely. I don't want to see Vildor out there.
It is what it is. Danny Payne says, but you guys were saying Detroit wouldn't win another game after the Bills game, so our defense was toast and done, and we wouldn't win the number 7 seed, and we did. I called.
Definitely did not say that, but some people might have.
I think he's alluding to me because I said the Super Bowl dream is
Oh.
dead in my eyes.
Oh, you did say that, yeah.
So here's how it goes, okay? Is the Super Bowl dream dead in terms of my expectations? Yeah, it is. I'm not going to expect the Super Bowl. Am I hoping for a Super Bowl? Absolutely. Like, I don't understand what you guys are thinking. Like, there's no way in hell I'm going to sit here and tell you guys that the expectations should still be a Super Bowl. I'm just not going to do it. It's dishonest. That's dishonest to you guys. First of all, the way I look at it is like the defense was shattered. Okay, after the Bills game, you had Amit Neal go down, you had Carlton Davis go down, and you had a lot of those guys go down. I didn't think they would be in the position.
Come out the street starting.
Yeah, so we had Ezekiel Turner, which he did as well as he could. We had Jamal Adams, old ass, Quan Alexander's old ass, and we had a bunch of people that were just starting. Like, we literally got a guy up from Kroger and we put him in the secondary. So look, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter.
Come on, man. that's better than the Enterprise comment.
Aaron Glenn has done a great job with the defense.
Yeah.
My point remains the same, though, is I don't expect them to go win the Super Bowl. I'm hoping they do, but there's no way I can realistically look you guys in the eyes and say I expect to be there. And if we
but
don't
even with
there,
the 1 seed now, do you expect them to? I expect them to win now because I mean this is the closest path you can get to win the Super Bowl. All the home games in your house, like I'm still crazy the house is.
I'm still not gonna do the accept. I'm still not gonna be like I expect to be there. I am hoping to be there, because look, we still got this defense still has to get some guys back, and I'll feel better. But this front four was decimated. We lost Hutch, we lost McNeil. Like, sure. Come on, guys! Like, it comes down to that.
How great was it to see Hutch on the sideline, man? I think that mattered because Hutch was out there coaching. He was out there, like, just the fact that he was out there, I think, was huge.
I told my cousin when it happened. Jimmy's probably listening right now, or he's probably asleep because he had too much Red Stag. But anyways, I told Jimmy, I go, look, Hutch is on a sideline. Like, that's pretty special, And I said, how much does it mean to these guys that they're getting Hutch back? I mean, Hutch is on the sidelines, and they got Anzalone on the field. For the defense, I think that's a huge step in the right direction. Okay, like, sure. They're not going to get McNeil back this year. That sucks because he's one of the best defensive tackles in the league. But
hugely missed. Yeah.
But getting a guy like Alex Anzalone back, like, I don't care what Valenti said on 97 on the ticket. Getting Anzalone back is huge, and it's terms of leadership.
You saw it today. You shut down the tight end that everybody was talking about that was going to go off on us.
No, I told people coming into this game. I did on the game preview. I said getting Alex Anzalone back is one of the biggest things that you can have come back.
Sure.
There's a lot of players that come back on the field that, I don't know how you want to say it. They're an impact just by their presence. A guy like LeBron is a guy like that. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, guys like that. Obviously there's Chris Jones on the Chiefs. Like, he's a guy like that too, where he steps on the field and that defense gets a whole hell of a lot better. So I mean, it's just there's certain players around the league that you just go, if that guy comes back, it's going to be really good.
And we talked about this on your podcast, I believe, too. What was the reason why I said it was important for Alex to come back? Do you remember what I told you?
The leadership.
The leadership, yes. But the fact that he knows AG's defense, the fact that he can make the calls and he knows what AG wants. None of the other linebackers outside of Jack knew what AG wanted and how to make those calls. And the fact is that with Alex coming back, Jack could be Jack. Jack didn't have to overcompensate for other guys.
Well, just go back to last week, right? They had problems with play action. They were getting baited on play action.
Sure. Kittle was killing them.
So I look at that and I go, that's more of a inexperienced linebackers being,
sure,
So those things matter, and I think that getting a guy like Anzalone back for this game in particular, where he knows, and I don't know if you've seen it, Nate. I don't know if you've seen it, but when Alex Anzalone was talking shit to Hockenson, Oh man, dude. They were on the sidelines, and you remember what Hawkinson said.
He stared him down, didn't he? He stared him down. I think when he made a tackle, he looked right at him the whole time, like, screw you, dude.
Well, you remember what Hawkinson said, right?
Mm-mm.
Hawkinson said, I'm going to pull it up right now. But he said, remember he said he wanted to play in real big games, you know?
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yes. That's another reason why he's
well, the big game is you showed up really, really good in, bro. Like, really good. So
yeah, and again, this is what I say. This is why we traded him, because the talent did not show up on the field. We can agree with that. Like, he was that there was only one game where I could say Hawkinson showed his true talent. Oh, I love that one.
Did you see this one? The fraud detector?
Yeah, I saw that. There was only one game where I could say I saw Hawkinson play and I could say, oh my God, this guy's going to be a special guy. And that was that Arizona game, the one we lost, where he just balled out. Other than that, I really didn't see the talent there. I saw a lot of plays that he left on the field, the lack of blocking, and enough was enough, man. Brad Holmes did what he had to do, and he got a guy in Laporta who arguably I think is better than him. And he's a hell of a blocker too.
You know, I never said that Hawkinson was going to be great.
Some people did. They thought it was baby
Gronk. I never believed it because it took me a couple games to realize it, but it felt like he had no jump. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when Kittle was at Iowa, people forget when Kittle was at Iowa and Laporta was at Iowa, they were wide receivers. They literally were. They were wide receivers. When Hawkinson was at Iowa, he was their possession tight end, and their guy that went vertical was Noah Fant. So Noah Fant went after him, but that's beside the point. Everyone was just, they were enamored with the Iowa tight end because George Kittle and the great Iowa tight ends before, but I was never really.
Well, let's just say this: George Kittle's on an island of his own, man. This guy, that guy is a freak of nature. Like, I've never seen a guy run as hard, play as hard as a guy like George Kittle. Like, he's on that level of Gronk and everybody else. But I'll tell you what, man, Laporta, he had a down year. You know, he sophomore slump, injuries. I think defense has paid more attention to him. Also, too, I think J-Mo took a lot of his shine away, which is fine. J-Mo needed to get in that moment and have his time to shine. But Laporta has literally this rest of the season, the last 3 or 4 games, has really come on, man. Looking like the Laporta from his rookie year. And I'm telling you, man, that is scary for defenses going forward, man.
Well, I think he was hurt to start the year. I think
he was.
Right, he was hurt. And I think it took him time to get going. And
sure, yeah.
I felt like, what was it, the week I thought the Packer game on Thursday night. Mm-hmm. I felt that was his best game.
Yeah.
And then as we got
all the games lately have been good for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like he had to just kind of get himself in a rhythm. And once he did, it'd be fine. There was a couple games between that where like he was struggling to do the little things. Like I thought there was a lot of drops. There was a lot of missed routes that he was running, and he got Jared Goff in a lot of trouble in that Houston game because there was a route that he was supposed to run a crosser.
Oh yeah, that was a pick. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was a pick. So yeah, so that's
he made up for. He caught that big pass for Goff to set up the touchdown.
Right. So Laporta's been good, and he's going to be good in the playoffs, and we're going to need him. I mean, just help us out there. That's basically.
Can we talk about J-Mo? Like, I think J-Mo needs to be discussed, man. He hit 1,000 yards on the season. I mean, talk about his whole career coming full circle, from tearing his ACL, being out almost a whole year, going through the suspension, little nagging injuries, immaturity moments, and now he's a 1,000-yard receiver, and he's only scratching the surface, man. Like, what a great story. And I keep telling this about people about J-Mo. Listen, you didn't hate J-Mo because of what he did on the field. The guy loved ball. The guy plays hard all the time. It was his antics off the field that frustrated you, that made you want to call him a bust. But the reality is, this guy is so talented. And he's just, like I said, he's only scratching the surface, man. He's a perfect complement to St. Brown. Perfect.
And I'll just be honest with you. I mean, I think a lot of people were pissed off about JMO because of the way that he he would be out and about and everything. That's what some people were pissed off about. But look, like you just said, the Lions, this is the second set of teammates to each record 1,000 yards receiving yards and 7 receiving touchdowns in a single season in franchise history. This joins Herman Moore and Brett Pierman in 1995. So, look, we have some unique history here, and I think that the way that Jahmyr Gibbs did things today. I mean, not Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams. The way he's gotten better has been just. I mean, I thought he would be good, but I didn't think he'd be this good. Like, he's starting to come into his own, and he's becoming a better route runner. That's the main thing. And he even alluded to that, like, earlier in the week.
Joe, have you ever seen an offense not only so good, but they're young? Like, St. Brown is barely 24, 25. JMO's 22, 23. Laporta's 23. So I'm just talking about the offensive weapons. Gibby is probably 22, 23. Demo's probably your oldest at 27 or 26.
28 or something.
And they're all locked in. Like, they're all locked in for next 3 or 4 years for the most part. Like,
I mean, the only guy that's not locked in is Tim Patrick.
Yeah, which I would bring him back definitely on a short deal. But I mean, wow.
It goes along with what you're saying, though. Like, this is a young group, and they still have room to grow. Like, I really do believe that they have room to grow. And I felt like last year, going into playoffs and winning the wild card game, winning the divisional game, and going to the conference championship game, I thought that did more for the development of those young guys, like 100%. Jameson Williams, like 100%. St. Brown, like Ja, like Sam Laporta. I thought, like, going to that point, and feeling the way that it sucked the life out of you when you lost. Like, I felt like that was like something that, like, those guys will never forget. You know what I'm saying? And that's a good thing, because you want to have, like, me and you were talking about Justin Jefferson earlier. Justin Jefferson has never experienced a win like that. He hasn't won the playoffs. And is it his fault? No, it's not his fault. But that's a franchise type thing. Like, you have to build the culture of winning, and then it spreads throughout. That's how it goes. And that's why last year was so important. Like, a lot of people looked at it and they go, oh my God, we lost in the conference championship. Guys, we'll be back. This is
even though Dan said that we weren't. It's crazy to think that it was almost like reverse psychology, that he knew that this team is too good not to be back.
Well, Dan was going through his own personal experience, because, I mean, think about it. He played with the Giants and Kerry Collins, and they played the Ravens in 2000, and he never got back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's tough.
And that sucks.
There's no doubt.
It sucks, but he's going off his personal experience, and you look at that and you go, okay, man, this is the guy that you want to be leading your team, man. That's the way it goes.
Is he coach of the year?
This game proved he's coach of the year. And if Kevin O'Connell wins it, it's bullshit.
I'll be pissed. Yeah.
Nah, there's no way you could say that. That's
I'll hate Kevin forever, because Dan should have won it last year, and Stefanski got it, which I didn't agree with either.
Paul says offense felt like it was slack, and then you look up and they have 31 points on the board.
That's a great point, because even on an off day, we could still score 30 points. Like, it's insane. Like, against a good defense. Let's give Brian Flores some credit. He brought the house in this game, and Goff at times looked a little rattled and roughed up. But man, Goff stood up and made some plays. The difference between Goff and Darnold is when Goff was pressured, for the most part, he got the ball to the right players. Darnold overthrew his players or didn't complete the ball at all. That's the difference, in my opinion.
Goff has been great against Brian Flores his whole career, but I mean, today was just no exception, man. He played really, really well, and
yeah,
I really don't think that you could sit here and be like, oh man, You know, the one thing I was disappointed with though is
What's up?
Sam Darnold. He came into this game with the most turnover-worthy passes in the NFL, and there's a lot of these guys that we will be playing in the playoffs potentially. So I like our chances there, but yeah, that was the only thing I was disappointed in. I thought they were going to get a turnover for sure, but they just didn't, and it sucked. But
yeah,
this
was an interesting game because if you'd have told me the Lions would not have forced a turnover and the Vikings would not have scored a touchdown, I would have been like, damn, what was like 3-0? What was the score? And the fact that we won by 3 touchdowns, just this team's amazing, man. I can't put into words how well we're built. Like, I mean, even when the offense is off, the defense keeps them up. If the defense is having a tough day, the offense we got you. Like, I can't think of a better team that plays more complementary football than the Lions do.
All right, let me play this. This is Dan Campbell on the win today.
Enough about our defense. Let me start there, man. AG and this defense.
You hear it?
They really, control that game for us, particularly the first half, 2.5 quarters. The guys on defense, I thought executed exactly the way that we had worked and what we had talked about. We were able to apply a lot of pressure, and it just paid dividends. That's a good team over there. They're well coached. Kevin O'Connell does a great job. Ton of weapons, and we were able to contain them and keep them at bay until our offense was able to, to find our rhythm. So just total team effort. Started with our defense and took the whole unit. But man, what a great job! Back-to-back division winners in the NFC North. Got the 1 seed, 15 wins. I just couldn't be more proud of those guys.
How many wins did he say? How many wins did he say?
What?
I was like, how many wins did he say?
Oh yeah, we got to go to your thing because there is. So here's how it goes, okay, guys. Let's just put it like this: there are 2 people that are one didn't make the prediction on the podcast, but he made it to me personally. So whatever. And one was this guy right here. Mr. Nate the Great. Now, Nate the Great, this was our we won't put the rest of the stuff out there, but Nathan put 15-2. He was the only one to put 15-2. And you see me at the bottom. I got the record right 4 years in a row. That's gone now. But you had the offensive MVP of Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yippee! Yes, I did.
I think you're pretty close to it, to be honest. Defensive MVP, you had Hutch and Tyler had Hutch.
He was on pace.
I think we were all wrong. I think it was more Kirby, but whatever the case may be. We all had Arnold and Tyler had Rakeshaw, which is not a bad idea. And then surprise player, you had Vaki, Tyler had Patrick, I had Wingo, and Mayank had Brandon Joseph.
Patrick, so I was happy about that guy.
Man, I was happy about him too. But and then we have to get to toughest games, and Nate had.
To be fair, I said the Cowboys because anything happens in Jerry's World and the refs always get paid.
You got one right. I got both of them wrong because I put the Eagles. I was supposed to put the Green Bay Packers. Look, none of us really nailed the toughest games, but that's the way it goes. So, and then your bold prediction, you had J-Mo wins comeback player of the year. I don't think that's going to happen, but
no, don't take that.
Mayank was pretty close. J-Mo 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. That's pretty close. But yeah, it just, man, this game was a complete team effort, and I thought that, man, you don't get any better than this, man. You really don't. And me and you were talking earlier in the podcast about, was this a more emotional win than the Rams win last year? I mean, I don't really think you could replicate the Rams win last year because I
shed tears in that game. I'm not gonna lie.
It was the first playoff win, but if I'm gonna be honest, this was a more important one for the franchise.
Oh yeah,
because you are gonna get all your games at home, and it's fantastic, man. Let's get to some comments before we what do we got? We can keep going for a couple minutes, but
I'm good. Just taking it all in, bro. Just taking it all in.
Joe Austin in the comments brings this up, and I this was
Austin had a couple of times in both games. He's gotten them off sides.
Holy shit, Joe! Vikings jumped off sides. Dan is a genius. Yeah, you know what? Here's what I will say about that. You can say that all about Goff, because when he said turbo, that is usually like a he says it a couple times when he's been doing the turbo, and then they hike the ball, like boom, it comes to him. He'd said that for a reason. That line stood still, and the players and the Vikings, they recognize the cadence, and they
Kiwi football 101, man. You don't move unless the ball moves. It's amazing that they still have that problem in the NFL.
Sue says, "Can you say Gibbs?" Well, you know, Mr. Nate has been saying Gibbs all the time. Now why are we both out here? Dan the Gamble Campbell, number 89, coach of the year, 100%.
100%. You better be.
The defense. Anzalone made a huge difference. Paul's had some really good comments. I like Paul. Paul's cool. We have some really good comments. We have more comments. Where is this?
Keep them coming, man. These people aren't sleeping tonight.
No.
Party Detroit.
No one's this is amazing. When they interviewed Gibbs, he didn't say me or I one time, all about the team. Agreed. That was great.
That's a Lions player right there. That's why he's on the Lions, because of those reasons.
Chad Pruitt says Alex come back and moving the D-backs around and fixed a few issues big time. I did notice that. That's good. That's a good. Chad, you are a student in the game. That's awesome. Ed, my boy Ed O'Neill, man, he's such a treasure on Twitter. I love this guy. He said defense played better than I expected. Me and you both, and we both can't sleep, so it's all right. We're gonna be fine.
Yeah, we're not gonna sleep. We're gonna sleep with big smiles on our face when we do.
Chris said they had 3 goal line stops. Yeah, they were 0 for 4 in the red zone, so that was impressive.
And I can't believe that. I cannot believe that. With the offense that you're telling me that we're going against, all those weapons, with Jordan Jefferson just by himself could just wreck a defense completely, and not one gritty. Sorry.
Chris says, what do you think? You did call it. Well, Chris says, what do you think about the odds of Ben and Aaron staying with the Lions?
Aaron's not staying. Ben might.
I think Aaron's gone, to be honest. I think the Saints' job is his, to be honest.
Joe, let me ask you a question real quick on that question. Do you think that Ben would entertain the Patriots job, knowing that they have a strong front office and history, and they got a young quarterback in Drake May, who I personally think Ben would probably rather coach than Caleb? What do you think?
Yeah, I think he would, to be honest.
I think so,
but
too.
I have a sneaky suspicion they're gonna go after Vrabel, get him back.
Yeah, I mean Vrabel probably the number one candidate, but I think that they might wait on Ben. I don't know.
No, I think if you're the Patriots, here's what it comes down to. Javon says here, he says Ben and Aaron ain't going nowhere.
Aaron's gone, bro.
I'll say this about Aaron.
He's gone.
The reason Aaron Glenn is probably going to be gone is the Dan Campbell effect. Now, we've seen the Dan Campbell effect today during the game. Like, when you think about it, Kevin O'Connell went for 4th downs. How many times? 3 times, and he failed.
He knew the Lions were going to score touchdowns because Dan Campbell goes for it.
Well, that's the Dan Campbell effect.
Yep.
Because these coaches know when they go against Dan Campbell, they have to either be aggressive or they're going to get pushed.
Yep.
They're gonna get pushed, and I thought that was one of them. And then the Dan Campbell effect is also when these teams are hiring coaches. I don't think they're gonna look at, is this guy an offensive guy or is this guy a defensive guy no more?
Is he a leader amongst men?
Is he a leader among men? And that's the biggest thing, man. Like, and you look at Aaron Glenn, he is a leader of men. That's why he will be getting a job with the Saints potentially. I think.
And who was the most respected coach in the NFL by all the players? There you go. That's all you need to know.
So I mean, if you're a good organization, like if the Bears were smart, I would hire Aaron Glenn. But they're not smart. I mean, I would hire Aaron Glenn or Pete Carroll or Vrabel, I'd throw a book at them.
I don't know. Aaron Glenn might he might get some more offers more than Ben will, because like you said, what he's done with his defense, words can't describe. With
the injuries Dan Campbell
he's had,
effect, though.
Yeah,
Dan Campbell effect. That's basically what it comes down to. Like, I mean, think about it. Like, when the Lions hired Dan Campbell, did anybody say, "Oh, he's a great offensive mind"?
No, he's a leader.
So that's what it comes down to. Like, I think a lot of people around the league are going, they're looking around and they go, "Oh, I see Jim Harbaugh out there. Okay. I see Mike McDonald out there. Okay, leader men. Those are coaches that just got hired in the last cycle. But man, you look at it around the clock, like you want a leader.
It would be interesting too, because let's be honest, in the NFL, offensive coordinators are what get people to the games, like the exciting plays, the trick plays, the high-powered offenses. It's never about the defenses, and
no,
and that's why that's the only thing I'll say about with Aaron Glenn is that, I think he's a lock for the Saints job. I think it's going to be a shoe-in, because he's going to go shake hands with them, and it's going to be a done deal. Like, I think he's number one candidate for them.
I think he's got familiarity with them.
Yeah.
And I think that they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, we love this guy."
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what he's going to do. So
exactly. That's what I'm saying. But what I'll say is, I'll play devil's advocate for a sec. If the only way Aaron Glenn stays, I think, is if he doesn't feel the Saints have enough in the roster for him to be a winning coach right off the bat. And if he's willing to maybe stay with Detroit, but it's going to be hard to keep him.
Yeah, I agree right here. Yeah, it's. I think Aaron Glenn's going to be gone.
Yeah,
unfortunately, but I think you have a good staff, and I think Aaron Glenn Aaron Glenn's going to do wherever. Aaron Glenn's going to be. He deserves it, man. He really does. He's been doing really good. He's been underappreciated by the fan base, to be honest. And I just feel like the tide is turning, and people are going to go away from like the offensive creative mastermind, and they're going to go towards like the guy like Dan Campbell, Jim Harbaugh, Mike McDonald, like Dan Quinn, like what I'm saying, like these guys really
and there's no disrespect to Ben Johnson, but I haven't seen enough of Ben's leadership to say, oh yeah, he's going to be a guy that can lead a bunch of men onto the field.
You mentioned it. You mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
You said he was the most respected coach in the NFL, voted on by the players.
Right.
That's key. That's key right there.
That helps recruiting. That helps in players come to play for you,
Well, not only that, but you have an instant command of the locker room when you come in there. So
and when you listen to him talk, he just talks like a head coach. Like he's very confident, he's very poised, he's very real, he's very transparent. He's a lot like Dan Campbell, like you said. Like Dan Campbell is very transparent, very honest, very upfront, but he's very professional about what he says. Aaron Glenn falls along those same lines. Like those two dudes are very interconnected.
Yeah, and I thought, and Aaron Glenn getting it. He said something before the game. I remember this Thursday when he was talking, and he said, my coach has got my back. I'm gonna do my thing, and then we're gonna, do it. I thought that was,
I love it.
Him and Dan Campbell have a really good relationship. Pete says, "Hey, Viking fans, I didn't hear you talking shit anymore. What happened?"
They went back into their hole, man. They went back to the hole.
Well, they lost 31-9, which is not a good thing. They definitely got their ass kicked.
Have a safe trip back to wherever you're going.
What is it? St. Prairie, Minnesota, Detroit, or something like that? Yeah.
Exit Detroit. Because I remember earlier before the game started, they were having all these pictures of, oh, we just entered Detroit. We're here. We're going to take over. I'm like, have fun.
I thought it was really funny. Me and my cousin were talking about this on a pregame podcast, how their owner spent $2 million on tickets. And
Didn't
these
even hear
tickets
them.
and these tickets ended up in the possession of the Detroit Lions fans anyway. So, I mean, it's great. Capitalism is.
Do we have Dan Campbell's victory speech yet? I've been waiting on that. I've been watching videos of Brad hugging everybody walking into the locker room.
I haven't seen it yet. So, just I'm waiting for that, to be honest.
Yeah, but I guarantee you, Dan probably cried.
Probably. They're probably gonna have to stitch that bitch up. But if we look back to that draft class where we drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, think about how good this draft class was. Like, oh my God, man. Jahmyr Gibbs, number 12 pick. 18th pick was Jack Campbell.
All pro.
Pretty close to all pro.
Jahmyr should
all pro.
In a year with Saquon and Derrick Henry, Jahmyr should have honorable mention.
Yeah, he's been one of the better running backs. Yeah.
Yeah, and who should on that draft class? Why did we take a running back? Why did we take a linebacker? Now you know why. Again, the average fan doesn't know shit. I'm sorry. They don't know nothing about football. That's why these guys get paid a lot of money to draft who they want to draft. It doesn't matter what we think. We're just a fair weather fans that criticize, but these guys have a plan. Why did we trade for JMO? Now you see, 1,000-yard receiver. Like, every move that Brad has made, there's justification behind it. All
right, I found a video of Terry Arnold asking if he can play in the divisional round. We'll just put Terry Arnold up here and we'll let him go. But I'm gonna pull this down. But let me play this for you.
Hey Terry, and just one more about the injury. You don't envision it keeping you out for the divisional round?
Not at all.
Not at all. So you think you'll be out there in a couple weeks?
Of course. Like, I'm a warrior. I'm gonna do everything in my power to get out there with my guys, man. Like,
I love TA.
When I got hurt today, I almost kind of like got emotional just because simple fact I felt like I was letting my guys down. Because if I have any moment or breath in my body, I want to be out there sharing it with them. And they know that. Like, I would go out there and die for my teammates, man. Like, that's the type of person. Wow. I really love this game.
So you expect to play in 2 weeks, just to be clear.
Come on, man. Hey, you know the answer to that question.
See, when you hear stuff like that gets me teary-eyed. For somebody to say, I'll die for my team, that embodies what the Lions are about. Like, people don't understand this culture and how strong it is that these players would literally take a bullet for the other player. They would literally run into a house and save their children. Like, this team just loves each other. Like, the camaraderie, the build, everything from the top to the bottom to the staff to the people who wash the clothes, everything. I mean, it's an amazing thing, man.
Man, it was amazing. Do you remember when they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the reaction on the front office of the Lions when they drafted him?
Oh, Brad Holmes really broke that table.
Oh man,
and Brad Holmes is a big guy. Look at that. He had to be held back. Look at that. And you know what? You know what, Joe? I was probably one of the only Lion fans out there that was doing cartwheels when we got that guy too, because I'm telling you, I watched
because you're an SEC guy and you watched.
Yeah, I've watched Gibbs. I've watched Gibbs from when he played for Georgia Tech and when he went to Alabama, and I like this guy has got it. He's got talent.
And I'll tell you this right now, Nate. There was a lot of people that didn't like the pick in Lions land, and I told them, "Do you watch college football? Like, do you really watch college football?" Because I watch this Jahmyr Gibbs kid. I think he's super special, and I think he could be better than Bijan. Bijan's a different kind of runner than Jahmyr Gibbs.
A good runner. Those are two really good running backs, but two different
I think if you were going to take 2 running backs in the first round in the top 15 picks, these would be the 2 running backs that you take. Now, obviously, if there was a Saquon available or anything, yeah, you take that guy in a heartbeat. But like, let's be honest. Jahmyr Gibbs, man, at Alabama, he was really special, bro. Really special.
Yeah, I mean, and then Jack too. I mean, Jack, I watched Jack in the Big Ten. You know, when he made that play on C.J. Stroud, that awesome pick that he made out of nowhere, one-handed or something like that. Jack's been awesome this year, man. I think he's one of the top 10 linebackers in the NFL right now, according to PFF. Like,
let's just talk about how
guy's a limit for him.
Let's just talk about how Aaron Glenn outcoached Kevin O'Connell, because this is Zach Zenner, and I thought of the same thing, to be honest.
Hey, Zach Zenner. Not that one.
Also watching these, that is Zach Zenner.
Oh, hey, good for Zach.
These last few drives of the Vikings, I feel like KOC was thinking there's no way they're going to run cover 0 and blitz everyone for the 10th third down tonight. And Aaron
Glenn's like, hold my beer. I tell you what, man, this is the thing about Aaron Glenn that you got to love. He sticks to his guns.
He doesn't coach scared.
No. He looks you straight in the eye, eyeball to eyeball, and he says, this is what we're going to do. We're going to run man, and I'm going to bring the house, and it's up to your players to beat it. And they couldn't do it. And that's balls. Like, you talk about Dan Campbell's balls being big. AG is about as big as his, because anybody that heard that message about playing man against a Jefferson, an Addison, a Hawkinson, that takes some balls, man, because that could easily blow up in your face. Easily. And then when TA went down too, you didn't change. You didn't flinch. Vildor, get out there. I mean, seriously, that's what he did. I mean, hey, I'm not changing what we're doing. Vildor, get your ass out there and go cover. Go play man. Like, he doesn't blink. Like, the guy just is not phased. Like, if you watch his pressers, I love hearing Aaron Glenn his pressers, man. Most of it because I'm a defensive guy. I'm all about the defense. But Aaron Glenn, to me, just motivates me, gets me excited, but tells me the real about what his team is about. And they asked him in the presser this week, can this team win a Super Bowl with the defense? He said, hell yeah, we can. And he didn't blink. He was straight up honest. And after tonight, I believe it. I believe it.
I love this, man.
You know what? I'm going to talk about that skull thing. Listen, the Vikings weren't doing that for a minute. Okay? Ever since that show came out, that's when they started doing the skull thing. So you can't say that was something that you guys done from the get-go. You only did it because some show came out and it looked cool. So stop doing it, man. It looks dumb. Come on, man.
I laughed my ass off at this stuff, man. This is what a great just a great this is great for this team, man. Oh, I do got a post game thing. This is from Peacock. So I'm gonna play this right now.
See it.
Peacock.
Still can't believe Dan said see you in 2 weeks. God, I hope it's not true. I don't want to see him again. If it's playing, I can't see it.
What?
I can't see it. I don't have anything.
You didn't have it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's playing.
Yeah, that's not showing.
Oh, my bad. Oh, let me play it. I didn't put it up on the stage. That's probably why.
You are bad, sir.
Oh, right there.
That's a hell of a win, guys. All I can think about is, man, we've been forcing this stuff now. This has been 3 years in the making. Some of it 4. Like, that just doesn't happen. You got to work through it, grind through it, and go through the downs to get to the ups of where we're at. That was unbelievable, man. Division winners, back-to-back seasons, and the number 1 seed.
Oh, man, I love this coach, man. I think he's fantastic.
You know what, Campbell? You deserve all the coffee tomorrow, man. Enjoy that coffee.
Okay, so real talk. On the pregame podcast today, I had a Dan Campbell coffee.
Oh Lord,
bro, I'm telling you right now, my stomach is still, bro. Yeah.
You ready to be Bat Dan?
Hey, we about to drop it, you know. What was it? Where was I gonna look at this? There's another one that I was looking at, but um, I don't see it out there. But yeah, so let's just give our final thoughts on the game, and we'll go
So many
move out.
thoughts. I mean, I can't say enough about this team, man. I'm so proud of this team. Like, man, just get emotional thinking about it right now. Like, we're 2 games away from the Super Bowl, man. First time ever. I can't put into words the excitement I have. I mean, everything's in front of us. We just got to play 2 good games, and we're going to New Orleans. Like, holy shit, man!
Who would have knew, man? Who would have knew? Who would have knew?
Yeah. I mean, I think we all knew. I think we all knew that when Dan talked about in his presser when he first started about how he was going to change the culture and he was going to make winning the number one focus. You figured at some point it was going to happen. You didn't know how it was going to happen. You didn't know when it was going to happen, but you figured at some time it was all going to click. And 4 years later, this team is on the cusp of a Super Bowl. You know, it's amazing, man. I'm so happy for the Lions. I'm happy for Detroit. The city deserves this, man. They deserve a winner. They've been waiting so long. I mean, God, we've been shit upon. We've been laughed upon. We've been made fun of for so many years. And now it's our time. It's our time, and it's going to happen, man. It's just a matter of when. And when's coming soon.
Manifesting itself, man. It feels like destiny. It really does. It just does.
And I've been saying that throughout the season. I've been saying this team's a team of destiny, man. Like, you know, the injuries, the weird games that we've played, the situations that's happened, the 5 interceptions and win a game. Like, you can't call that a team of destiny, you know, and not mean it, because that's what teams of destinies look like, you know.
No, I totally mean it. Like this team is a team of destiny for sure.
But let me make this very clear, and I'll say this again. This is not a one-hit wonder. Like, the Lions are going to win this Super Bowl. I truly believe that now more than anything. And this could be a part of something special going forward, because this team is still young. They've got all their players locked in that are major contributors. Brad Holmes is only going to keep drafting well. You've got money to spend. I mean, could you have a better situation as a team?
No. This has been phenomenal. I don't know where to go, man, because this is this is one of those years where, like, everything has gone against them, and still they come out from the other side and still come out with victorious. You can't say enough about the resiliency from this team. You can't say enough about
battle tested.
You can't say enough about the coaching. You can't say enough about the will to win. And, you know, if you've ever played a sport, like me and you have, and probably a lot of people out there, but if you've played sports before, you know that, like, there's times when shit gets tough, man, and you got to look at yourself in the eyes and you got to figure out what you want to do. And we just played that clip from Terrion Arnold, and that clip is exactly what that whole team feels.
That's a rookie talking.
And that's a rookie. That's exactly what I was about to say. That's a rookie talking. That ain't a Meek Robertson. That ain't Brian Branch. That ain't Kirby Joseph. That ain't Carlton Davis, Aiden Hutchinson, Alex Anzalone, or Jack Campbell. That is a rookie. A rookie. You know what I'm saying? So if that's a way the rookie feels, can you imagine how those other guys feel?
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, when Meek was interviewed after the game was over, he said something along the same lines of that. He said, Detroit took a shot at me. They believed in me. That, you know, that speaks to how much this team has changed, and players want to come play. You know, we were talking about this earlier on my podcast, that the Lions have been the dumpster fire for the longest time, and no one ever wanted to go to Detroit. You went to Detroit, you died. Your career died.
Coaches too.
Exactly. That's completely gone 180. Completely. Now the destination is Detroit. Like, we haven't talked about this, but, you know, if Calais Campbell gets released, which they say is out there, he could. You know where he's
gonna
going.
want to come here. He's gonna want to come here.
He wants to win a ring. And we are now the ring chasing team, which is great because we've never been that way. And hey, I'm with you, man. If you want to come to Detroit and win a ring, hey, we'll open you the welcome arms, man. The guy still has a lot of game left in him, man. He had a sack today on Rodgers, and he's been balling out, man. So he wants to come to Detroit. Hey, we need him, man. We'll take anybody we can get right now.
You know, it just goes to say without saying what this team actually is. You know what I'm saying? This team comes out to play. They want to do what they have to do to win. And you heard a rookie talking, saying that he would die for his team and everything like that.
Crazy.
I mean, it's not. Usually, you hear a guy say that, and you're like, you're a liar. But anyways, moving on. You know, but this time
he was straight up serious. He was 100% serious.
You feel it with this team, bro. Like you really do. Like Dave Montgomery didn't want to go on IR because why? He wanted to come back. You know, guys like
Hayden wants to come back to Super Bowl. Barnes wants to come back to Super Bowl.
Anzalone came back. Like it says a lot about your organization when you have guys that are willing to sacrifice everything to win. And that is exactly what we've been waiting for this whole entire time. You know, going back to the Patricia years and the Mayhew years and the Millen years and the Russ Thomas years. And if you go back, man, you're going back and back, and you have never had a coach like you have now. You have never had a general manager like you have now. And it was funny because my cousin, he was talking to Golden Tate earlier today, and and he was talking to Golden Tate, and Golden was like, he said the one thing that I was like, well, that's not gonna happen. He gave his key on the game. He said they had to shut down Justin Jefferson, and if there was a person out there that told me Amik Robertson would shut down Justin Jefferson, I would have looked at you and laughed. But they did.
Did you know at the beginning of the week that my friend said this, and I kind of laughed at him when he said it because like, dude, Meek's not a big guy. Justin Jefferson's gonna eat him for dinner. But they told Amik Robinson he was going to be guarding Justin Jefferson.
Well, they played Little League. They played Little League against each other. I heard. That's what I heard. But man, still to go out there against Justin Jefferson and absolutely dominate him, that is, dude. That's a guy who
in the NFL, the best.
And this was a guy who we thought was just going to be a slot cornerback, and he covered the best wide receiver in football. Can you believe that? Can you really believe that? Like, do you remember last year what Justin Jefferson did to the Lions?
No.
When we
torched the Lions.
when we clinched the NFC North again, he was it like 135 yards and they still lost? I mean, today he had, Amik Robertson versus Justin. So today versus Justin Jefferson, Amik Robertson, 7 targets, 2 catches allowed, 48 yards, 1 pass breakup. Damn. You don't get much better than that, man. He really
48 yards, that seems like a lot, but when you talk about Justin Jefferson, who averages over 100 yards a game on average, we'll take that all day. 10-2 in primetime games for Dan, by the way, too.
11-2.
No, 10-2.
11-2. That's what the code. I'll put it up. I'll put it up here.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was an old. Okay, so 11-2.
Yeah. 11-2 because they did it. So, but Adam brings up a good point about the offensive line. The line is getting old, though. He also says Mahogany is a starter moving forward. Think about that. Mahogany is going to be a starter.
I wouldn't say old. I mean, the guards, maybe. I mean, Ziegler is 35. Graham.
Glasgow would look rough today.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's going to get replaced, it's probably going to be Glasgow.
Well, I mean, what if Ragnar retires? Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't think he's going to retire. I mean, unless they win the Super Bowl, he might retire. But Rag's been playing awesome this year, bro. Like he's been healthy. Like he's been playing balls out, man. Like
okay. We talked about Anzalone. We do realize that this guy is playing with the torn trap right now, right? Or torn labrum. Ragnar's playing with the torn labrum.
Oh yeah. The pec thing, yeah. That's true.
Oh, torn pec, yeah.
And the bum toe.
What a boss. That guy's a boss. But I had a great time on the podcast tonight, and we'll hash up it even more coming up forward. I might do like a midweek podcast. I know I'm gonna do one with my cousin because he wanted to do one tonight, but I told him the Red Stag is a little bit too heavy on you, so we gotta kind of
have that drug talk. Are y'all gonna do like a playoff preview?
This guy is a really good.
Are y'all gonna do like a playoff preview kind of thing? Because that's what we're gonna do on Sunday.
We might do a playoff preview. We might do it midweek.
Okay.
Like Wednesday or something, so that a lot of people can look forward to that. But this is going to be a lot of fun moving forward, and we got a bye week, so rest up, Lions fans. We're all good.
You know what's funny is you talk about speaking things into existence. I literally ended our podcast by saying, "Oh yeah, and this next show on Sunday, we're going to talk playoffs and who the Lions will play the next week." See, you got to see it to believe it.
Well, if we go back to which, you did put it into existence at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, dude. You have to sweep the North part. I said that too.
Oh yeah, you did say that. Yeah, Nate was right. I thought Nate was crazy. A
lot of people did, man. A lot of people did. Trust me. 15-2, like you're insane.
Well, look what I put. I put 12-5. So you guys were a little bit more.
And to be honest, Joe, that's more of a realistic record. But here's the thing. I'll tell you why I say 15-2. Because I looked at all the acquisitions we made in the offseason, bringing in DJ Reader, getting Meek Robinson, Gibby coming back for the year. J-Mo's going to be healthy. Laporta's coming back. You got Ziegler on the O-line. You've got pieces, Aiden's going to be wrecking havoc. This team was better than last year's team just by the overall talent. And you knew the guys that were the rookies were going to have either a good sophomore year, or some of them might fall off a little bit and, they'll come back later. But you knew this team was going to be better. Goff was going to be better. And that's why I said 15-2, because I look at this record, I'm like, dude, we can beat almost anybody on this schedule. Like there's going to maybe be a couple of games where I'm going to have a little bit of a toss-up. And I'll be honest with you, man, I regret the Dallas game. We should have just said I will whoop the shit out of Dallas. But the Texans really were my only concern. I even had us being Buffalo. But I didn't think Buffalo was going to be that good. I'll be honest with you. I really thought they were going to take a step back, losing Diggs, and
I don't think any of us thought that they would lose Parsons by the time they got there and all that jazz. I mean, that was just ridiculous. But
it was supposed to be a better game.
You were kind of right on the Texans. It was a tough game, to be honest. But the Texans turned out to be frauds too. But man, it was a good get by you, bro. Because listen, you and my cousin, you were the only people that I know that nailed 15-2. And his reasoning was my cousin Jimmy's reasoning was unbelievable. He goes, "Oh, I picked 15-2 because
17 games."
No, he picked the exact losses.
Oh,
which was insane. He goes, "They're gonna lose against the Buccaneers and the Bills." I'm like, wait, what?
Wow.
I was like, whoa, and that's what he picked, and I was like, dude, if you would have betted this, you would have been a rich man.
I know, dude. Trust me, man. I was thinking the same thing too. I was like, God, I should make some money on this. But you know what? It's all good, man. I mean, the new season starts, right?
Man,
take a week off. The
new season starts, and we'll kind of break it down in midweek, and then
we get to sit back and watch these teams kill themselves and go after each other, and then here we are. We're waiting in the wings.
We get to be healthy, and we get a week off, and man, I'm just excited about that, to get a week off.
And Monty should be back. I think when they interviewed him, they said he just want to smile on his face, like if you're going to be back for the divisional, and he's kind of smiled. So I think Monty's going to be back, bro. So
and I did not want to play on Monday Night Football. I did not want to play.
That would have been bad, bro. Going from one Monday Night Football game to Sunday Night Football, then to play on Monday Night Football again. Wow.
And then you're going to play Sunday or Saturday before in the divisional round.
And you have to go into Stafford's house. Oh God.
Oh, no, I'm good, bro. I'm good. All right, brother. We will convene, and then we'll talk more in the next podcast. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for everyone.
Yeah, man.
There's 80 people that are still watching out there in the listener
because the Lions are great. Enjoy it. Enjoy
yeah,
party out. Don't go to work tomorrow. Have fun.
yeah, we'll keep talking about it on the Twitter and the Facebook and the Instagram and everything.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next podcast. We talk more Detroit Lions football here on the Detroit Lions News podcast.
Hola.